Well, hey there, hobby homesteaders. Welcome back to Peaks Peak. Today, we're going to talk about taking care of our land. Having a little homestead has always been one of my dreams, and I absolutely love it. But there are some things that have surprised me about how much work it takes just to maintain the property that we have. And we don't have just a ton of property, but we're blessed enough to have 38 acres, and we've got good trails. We've got a lot of places to have fun, but that comes at a cost, because in order for you to enjoy it, you have to maintain it. And it takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of tools, and a lot of money just to keep those things looking nice and usable. So today we are going to share with you some of our trail and land maintenance as we go about our duties. Now, I've been working on this already all week, just getting the yard mowed, weed eating the fence rows, weed eating on the pond dam. And if this comes across as remotely complaining, it's not. I love this work. I really enjoy having the opportunity to get out and do this kind of work, but it is something that probably takes a little more time and commitment than I was expecting. And I wanted to share that with people who are thinking about getting some land of their own and having their own trails and things to take care of. We like to share the fun side of having a homestead, and that's, you know, planting a garden and taking care of animals and fishing at the pond and camping and riding four-wheelers on the trails and all those things that we love to do on the property. But it's not all fun and games. And so I'm going to share with you what we have to do to take care of our farm, and then I'm going to show you some of the tools that we use to do that. Now, one of the very first and most important things that we did when we got our land was buy us the right tractor for what we have to do here on the land. Now, some people would say this is not even a real tractor. It's a subcompact tractor. Some people want to make fun and call it a glorified lawnmower, and it is that. I use it to mow my yard, but it is so much more than that. It has been so useful. It runs that 4-foot bush hog just great. The loader comes in handy with everything you do, heavy lifting and all of that stuff. We can run our box blade. We've got a disc that we can pull on it. Just so many useful things that you can do with a little subcompact tractor. I love my Kubota BX23S, but there are a lot of brands that make good subcompact tractors. And if you are not doing actual farming where you're plowing and tilling the land and taking care of lots and lots of acreage, this may be enough to take care of your property. Everyone gets the idea that bigger is better, and in some cases that's absolutely true, but the bigger the tractor, the more fuel you're going to burn and the harder it is on your yard. And so if you're using it to mow, you don't want a heavier tractor where you're going to tear up your yard. And as you can see, it does a beautiful job of cutting the grass. I'm not a professional. I just knock the grass down, but it does a really good job. It's a good all-around tool. And for us, we're only maintaining about 3 or 4 acres down here at the bottom of Peaks Peak. And then we're mowing trails and maintaining around the pond and stuff up on the hill. So this is the perfect size because it works great on the trails, getting in and out of the tight areas and all of that. So it just does everything that we need it to do here on the farm. And a bigger tractor, I would be limited and not be able to do some of the things that I can accomplish with this one. On the other hand, there have been very few things that this tractor wasn't capable of doing that I needed around here. So overall, this has been a great choice for us. Fuel costs are another big thing. I spend easily over $100 a month in off-road diesel just to run the tractor, mow the yard, and maintain the trails and do all of those things. So that starts adding up pretty quick too. got the beginning part of the trail up the hill mowed, and we mowed the section over kind of by the neighbors, and now I'm going to start working my way around the trails on the property. So I'm going to show you what they look like before and after. I'm not going to do just a ton of footage of running the bush hog and that sort of thing, but we'll show you the progress we make, and I'll share with you how long it took me to do all of our maintenance and cleanup work. This is the very first clearing as you come up to the top of the hill, and this was the very first place we had a camp out. We had a little campfire right here. There are actually trails on up towards the front section of the hill, and so we got lots of cleanup to do. Guys, now we're getting into some of the trail system. This is the one we call Middlebury Trail because it's kind of a straight shot through the middle of the property, and it's covered in blackberries and black raspberries. So I'm going to run as far down this trail as I can get. It has a soggy spot that normally I can only mow it about once a year, and that won't be this time because we've got quite a bit of mud. But we'll get it looking as good as we can anyway. This trail down this hill is called Caden Crash Hill because he decided to ride his bicycle down it, and it's really steep, and he crashed pretty hard. Guys, we are putting the Kubota BX23S to work today and enjoying it. I've been out here for a couple of hours mowing trails, mowing this field. I've got another field to mow and a few more trails, and then I'm going to go down and get Caden, and we're going to try out some of our new trimming tools. I got a little Kobalt 24V 12-inch chainsaw, and I got a 24-volt hedge trimmer that I want to use for trimming briars and things off the trails, so we can widen them out. That way when we ride the four-wheelers through, we won't scrape up our arms and all that. It just makes it all look a lot nicer and a lot more pleasant to play on. All right, let's get back to work. All right, guys, right at 4 hours of bush hog time on the trails and the fields that we've got up here, which is not bad. It's pretty enjoyable. The turning around looking at the bush hog. I have to stop myself from doing that so much because it gets to my back and my neck a little bit, but it's pretty enjoyable time. And we had perfect weather today. It's been in the mid to upper 90s all week, and we had a storm roll in last night that brought in some beautiful weather. It was 64 degrees when I came out this morning, and I'm looking at 72 right now at almost 1 o'clock. So just a beautiful day. That's why I picked today to get out here and spend all day working on the trails and getting all this stuff done. Now, we had a lot of small trees fall down on the trails last night, so I'm going to have a little more chainsaw work than I expected, but I'm gonna go down to the house, eat some lunch, and get Caden and see if he'll come up here with me, and we'll go around the trails and start clearing briars off the trails and cutting up little trees that fell and get all that stuff cleaned up. Then I'll show you around, I'll show you how it all looks. All right, guys, we got a couple of new tools to try out. I've got to get some chain oil in this, but this is a 12-inch 24-volt chainsaw. It's got a brake on it, and it came with a 4-amp-hour battery. I'm pretty excited to try this out. So we'll get some bar and chain oil in that, and then we'll show you what it does. Now, you're going to probably use this one, but I got to show you the danger of this one, because this one would literally chop your fingers off if you got them in there. But this one's going to be good for cutting briars. This one I bought without a battery because I have 3 24-volt batteries now. So, but here's the deal, dude. You got to push this and then pull the trigger. But you got to be so slow and careful with this, because if you got your fingers in that, it will cut them off and you won't have it anymore. Right? Yeah, that's bad news. All right, but we're gonna go around and clean up the briars on the trails, and then there's several trees down, like I said, so we're gonna start with some of the small stuff and get used to the tools and see how that works, and then we'll show you our progress. Let's see how this does. That's pretty stout.
Don't cut the, why did you do that?
What?
You're cutting the blackberries.
Well, because there are so many, we'll never pick them all. So I'm just clearing the trail so we can get through. So I'm pretty impressed with this so far. Watch this. This is just the 24-volt model. For a little trail clearing saw, man, that is awesome. Plenty of power. I mean, that's, you know, 6 or 8 inch log, and it just cuts right through it like nothing. I don't know, we'll see how long the batteries last, but he's going to town cutting briars with the hedge clippers, so that's doing real good. Yeah, I'm really excited about these. I have one.
It says 2 bars.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah, at least it's a little bit better than you thought.
Guys, I'm here to tell you, this 24-inch, 24-volt Kobalt brushless hedge trimmer is a game changer for trail clearing. This is as good as I've ever been able to do trimming the trails, because I always had briars sticking out into the trail after I bush hogged, and the only way to really beat that was to either bring loppers and come up here and lop those off by hand, or try to use a strong weed eater or something like that. But it was always so much work that it just wasn't worth it. But this, man, this is doing the business. Quick and easy, and we've cleared quite a bit of trail already and still have 3 bars on the battery. The chainsaw does a great job of cutting. It's very, very capable. I'm cutting logs that are like 8 and 10 inches, and it has no trouble cutting those at all. But it is eating through the battery to make a bunch of cuts. I cut the first one up into firewood chunks, which was probably a waste because I've got my gas-powered saw up here. I could have cut that up that way. This is more, I bought this for clearing the trail. So make a cut on each end of a log and throw it off the trail to clear your way. That's what I bought this saw for, and you'll be able to do all kinds of trail clearing that way. If you were trying to use it for cutting firewood, obviously you'd go through batteries like crazy. But for what I bought it for, man, it's perfect. I'm really happy with these purchases. Take a look at those logs right there. And I got a pretty big hand, so that gives you an idea. These, you know, about 8-inch logs, and you know, pretty solid log too. It's not just rotten, and cut it no problem at all. Alright guys, so this has been a successful day of trail cleanup. Had a good time, spent about 4 hours running the bush hog, and then me and Caden spent another 2.5 hours up here just cleaning the trails up, cleaning up briars, cutting extra limbs, cleaning up trees that had fallen during the storm. And so far, my first outing working on trails with these Kobalt 24-volt brushless pieces of equipment was fantastic. I've had the pole saw for a little bit now, and I only lightly use it. It's a good pole saw, but if you're going to buy a Kobalt pole saw, I would recommend stepping up to the next size if you're not buying it to match your battery set, because this 8-inch model does not have a chain adjustment on it, and the chain gets loose very quickly. You can cut branches with it. You cut 2 or 3 and then have to tighten the chain back up. It works, but that's a flaw, and that should have been fixed. But this 12-inch chainsaw has a chain tightener on it and plenty of power for small trim work on a trail. So this is a handy, lightweight saw, works great for that. So I was real happy with how that did. And one battery. We cut several trees off the trail and cut 2 of those trees up into firewood, and the battery died on our very last cut when we were quitting. So that did great. This hedge trimmer got 1.25 miles of trails here, and we cut briars off of a lot of trail with this hedge trimmer, and that 4 amp hour battery still has 3 bars left on it, and we ran it a lot. We worked up here for over 2 hours, so that did a fantastic job. I was real happy with that. Now, of course, my son's Steel FS111 weed eater, one of the best string trimmers I've ever used in my life, and really strong, does a great job. I was able to cut stuff that I couldn't have cut with my little FS55, so that's a great piece of equipment as well. I didn't have to break out the Steel MS250 today because I had all these battery powered tools, and they did the job. So I'm wore out, and Caden wants to swim in the pond, so we're gonna go down, get cleaned up, and let him swim in the pond. But first, I'm gonna take you for a quick ride around the trails and just show you the progress we made today and show you how we cleaned everything up.